Similarly, I have covered theory portion of other units till unit 7, unit 6, 5, 4 and so on. So the chapter number 7 is based on acquisition of asset and securities abroad. So let's get started and understand. So ever dreamed of owning a home in London, a villa in Dubai or an apartment in New York? Right, as an Indian resident you can buy property abroad, but there are some rules to follow. Let's break down in simple terms. So friends, first of all, using the LRS I think you are familiar with. We have already covered LRS in the previous case. So RBI let you send up to, how much is the limit, you remember? It is $250K, right, per year. Abroad you can send for investment including property. So if you want to buy $2 lakh condo in Thailand, so you can use LRS fund, but you can't exceed your annual limit. Okay. Second thing is joint purchase with relative. Yes, this is another technique, right, of acquiring the asset abroad, which means you can buy property jointly with Indian resident relative. So you and your brother, both Indian resident, pool LRS fund to buy a holiday home in Spain. But the co-owner must also be an Indian resident. This is very, very important, that the person who is owning with you, that is called co-owner, he must also be resident. Right, he must also be resident. No NRI or no foreigner allowed under this rule. That's why I'm again highlighting this word, jointly with relative. This is very, very important. He should be Indian resident. The third technique is inheritance or gift. So what is allowed? You can inherit or receive a gifted property abroad only if it was originally bought legally. Yes, so inheritance and gifted property are only allowed if it was originally bought legally in exchange with the law. No NRI, right? So I told you, for example, suppose your father, right? Suppose your father bought a UK house using LRS. Your father bought a UK house using LRS, so he can gift it to you. No extra RBI permission is required here. Then comes using RFC account. So using RFC account also you can purchase, you can acquire asset abroad. RFC you are familiar with. We have covered in the previous lecture. What is RFC? So if you have lived abroad and you have earned foreign income, like NRI returning to India, so you can keep fund in an RFC account, right? So benefit is that you can use this foreign currency account to buy property. No exchange rate worry because it is in foreign currency. So no need to worry about exchange rate fluctuation. Suppose you worked in USA, okay, and you have saved $50,000, okay, in your RFC account. So you can use this RFC account for down payment in Canada. And you have to follow the RBI rule, that is regulatory compliance. You should file paperwork, right? There are some forms like 15CA and 15CB. This form must be filed for large transaction. To avoid penalty or legal issue later, you should do it. So let me give you one real life example of all this point which we have discussed just now. So meet Rohan. Who is Rohan? So Rohan wants a retirement home in Malaysia. He wants a retirement home in Malaysia. So he can use his LRS limit first. LRS limit is $250K per year. Then he can his wife who is also Indian, he can also add her LRS fund. So his wife can also add the LRS fund, and later his dad gift him in Singapore, right, a luxury flat. So that is called legal inheritance. So these are the techniques, these are the things which Rohan can use to acquire asset in the foreign country. So let's recapitulate. Okay, how asset can be acquired. So the first is the LRS is your best friend, and the limit you must know, $250K per year. Then you can team up with resident relative, that is called joint with whom? Resident relative. Remember, no foreigner, no NRI is allowed here. Third point, gift and inheritance. Yes, gift and inheritance, this one also will work. Fourth point, I told you RFC account. So RFC account also help you use your foreign currency, but regulatory compliance is very, very must. Now friends, in the next slide let's discuss the property transaction in India. So if you are an NRI, if you are an OCI, that is called overseas citizen of India. If you are an NRI, if you are an OCI and you are dreaming of owning a property back home in India, or selling or gifting what you already own, so this one is for you. The rule might seem confusing, but let's break down with examples so that you can stay hassle free. First of all, what can NRI and OCI buy? Yes, what they can buy. Let's answer this question. What can we buy? First thing first, home, apartment, shop, office, these are allowed. You can see residential, commercial property, they can buy. But what are restricted? I told you earlier also, agriculture, land, farmhouse, plantation, property, these things are not allowed. For example, Priya. Take the case of Priya. Priya is an OCI, that means overseas citizen of India. Okay, so she buy a Mumbai apartment, but she can't purchase a mango farm in Punjab. Now, the next thing is gift. Yes, so if you are receiving property as a gift, from whom? From resident, from NRI, from OCI. So this is allowed. But so what is allowed? So gifted, yes, see, gifted home, gifted shop, these are allowed. So who can gift? This person, resident, NRI, OCI, they can gift. But what is not allowed? Gifted farmland. Farmland again not allowed. Agriculture land not allowed. Plantation land not allowed. For example, take the case of Rahul. Rahul is an NRI, right? So he get a Bangalore flat as a wedding gift from his dad. His dad is also Indian resident. Okay, so he received this. Rahul is a person who received a Bangalore flat as wedding gift from his dad. So yes, it is allowed. Then we have inheritance property or inheriting property. So you can inherit any property, right? Even agriculture land also can be inherited. Okay, if the original owner bought it legally. For example, take the case of Meena. Meena is an OCI. Okay, so she inherited her grandmother Delhi house and Kerala farmland. Because farmland is also allowed here because it has been inherited, it has been bought legally. Then what about the sale transaction, what they can sell? So if we talk about the selling property, if they want to sell their property, so they can sell residential and commercial property. They can sell the agriculture land and farmhouse. So they can't buy, but they can sell. But they can sold only to Indian citizen. That is very, very important point. But this residential and commercial property can be sold to anyone, whether it is resident, NRI and OCI. But this agriculture, farmhouse and plantation property must be sold to Indian resident. For example, take the case of, let's talk about the gifting rule. So if we talk about gifting property, yes, NRI, OCI, they can gift property. They can gift home, residential property or commercial property to anyone. But farmland, they can only give to the resident. Okay, that is the point. Now what about the payment rule? So they must use Indian bank account like NRE account, NRO account, FCNRB account. Okay, why? Because it keeps transaction transparent. Yes, because using it keep the transaction transparent, and also it keep tax compliant. So because of these two reasons, they must use Indian bank account. Now for example, Arjun, who is an NRI, he pay for his Chennai flat via his NRE account. No cash is allowed. So payment must be made through Indian bank channel. No cash is allowed either from NRE, FCNRB or NRO account. So let me give you one real life scenario to understand all these cases which we have just covered now. So let's take the example of Raj. Okay, so basically Raj is an NRI. Okay, so he buy a Gurgaon apartment. Can he buy a Gurgaon apartment? Yes, right, which is a commercial property. He receive a gifted flat. He receive a gifted flat in Hyderabad from his uncle. Can he receive it? Yes, obviously. Relative, since he is received from uncle who is relative, so yes, it is allowed. Now what he does, he sell his inherited farmland in Punjab. Yes, he can sell only to Indian resident. That is the point. He cannot sell to any NRI. He can only sell to Indian resident, and he pay through his NRO account. So this is what Raj has done. So let's finally recapitulate what we have covered in this particular slide. I told you regarding buying. So they can buy home, they can buy shop, right? But farm, what about farm? Can they buy farm? No. Right? We are talking about NRI and OCI. Now then we talk about the gift and inheritance. So they should follow the relative and property type rule, right? So for gift, they should follow the relative and property type rule. Next point I told you about selling. What they can sell? They can sell farmland only to Indian. They can sell farmland only to Indian. Right? Other property to anyone. And payment, for payment I told you they should always use NRE, right? NRO or FCNR form. Right? So they should always use, for payment I told you that these accounts should be used. Now then the next point that we have regarding the payment using traveler check. So thinking about buying property in India as a foreigner, whether you are a diplomat, expat, or from a neighboring country, the rule changes depending on who you are. So let's simplify it so you know exactly what is allowed and what is not allowed. So first of all, how NRI, question is how NRI, how PIO, they can pay for property. How they can pay for property? Let's answer this question. So what are allowed? So bank transfer are allowed. Already I told you that yes, you can transfer money from NRE, NRO account and FCNR account. So bank transfer are allowed. What are not allowed? See, traveler checks is not allowed. Okay, like those paper check you get for vacation, those are not allowed. And foreign currency cash are not allowed. FCN is not allowed. You must remember it. Foreign currency notes or cash like dollar, euro, etc. they are not allowed. They must convert to INR via banking channel. So this foreign currency note must be converted to INR via banking channel. Okay, so this is very important thing. Now let me give you one example of Maria, right? So Maria is an OCI, right? OCI. Maria is an OCI. So she can't use her USD cash to buy a Mumbai flat. She must transfer fund from her NRE account, right? So that is the point. Now, what are the rules for foreign embassy and diplomat? Let's see. So if we talk in the terms of foreign embassy and diplomat, so they can buy and sell. They can buy and sell what? Property, home and office, but not farmland, except for agricultural land, farmhouse and plantation property. So they can buy or sell immovable property in India, but they can't, but no farmland. They can't buy and sell farmland. Now there is a special rule. They need prior approval and clearance from the India's Ministry of External Affairs. This is a very important thing. We are talking in the context of foreign embassy and diplomat. So they can buy and sell immovable property in India, not agricultural land, not farmland, and they must take clearance from the Government of India, Ministry of External Affairs. And for payment, they must use the foreign fund. Okay, foreign fund sent via bank, no local cash is allowed. For example, suppose take the case of US Embassy, right? So US Embassy can buy a Delhi office, but only after Indian government say yes. So they have to take permission from Indian government. Now what are restrictions? Restricted country. Let's have a look. So these are the country which we call as restricted country. So let's see which countries are in the list. So citizen of Pakistan, Bangladesh and China, right? And 11 countries total are there: Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Afghanistan, China, Iran, Nepal, Bhutan, Macau, Hong Kong, DPRK, right? So citizen of this country cannot acquire or transfer property in India without prior RBI approval. So they must take RBI approval before acquiring or transferring property in India, right? So they are allowed only lease up to 5 years. Yes, they can, except for they can take lease for up to 5 years, but they cannot acquire or transfer any property without taking the RBI approval. Exception is there for OCI, overseas citizen of India. Even if originally from this country, they face no restriction. They are exempted from this restriction. Let me give you one example to make it more clear. So take the case of Ahmed. This Ahmed, he is a Pakistani citizen. He need RBI permission for what? To buy a Goa villa. Okay, but his OCI cousin Ali can buy freely. So for OCI there is no restriction, but for this country citizen, yeah, they have to take permission from RBI. Now what about the other foreign national? So they can buy if they are not from the 11 restricted country list. So I told you the list of 11 restricted country. If they are not from this 11 restricted country, they can buy. Take the case of example of John. Okay, so John, he is an American export. So he can purchase a Bangalore agreement with no extra approval. So let me give you one real life example scenario to understand all these cases very smoothly. So take the case of first French embassy in India. Suppose you take the case of French embassy in India. So he want to buy a Chennai consulate office. So what should you do? He should approach the MEA. He should take the MEA approval, Ministry of External Affairs approval. He should pay via international bank transfer, and he cannot buy a Kerala tree plantation. Okay, Kerala tree plantation they cannot buy. Now take the second case. Take the second case of Chen, who is a Chinese citizen working in India. So problem is that he want to buy a Gurgaon flat. So for that he need RBI permission because he belong to 11 restricted country. I told you, right? Because China is on the restricted list. So these two case study question will be asked here. So let's summarize what we learned from this discussion is that first of all we talk about the payment. What I told you, only banking channel is allowed, no cash is allowed. This is the first point. Then we talk about the diplomat. Right? I told you they can buy property. Yes, property they can buy except farm, no farm. Okay, and for that they have to take the government approval. government approval. That is about diplomat. Now, what about the restricted country? Restricted country, for that RBI need permission. Restricted country, for that RBI need permission except OCI. And if we talk about the other foreigner are allowed if not from the 11 listed country. So always check with RBI or a legal expert before signing any deal. I hope that makes sense to you. Now have a look at some permission transaction for foreign nation. We are talking about permissible transaction for foreign nation. So if you want to buy a property in India as a foreigner, whether you live here or abroad, the rule can be tricky. First of all, foreigner living in India. Suppose take the case of foreigner residing in India. I told you they can buy property. If you are not from restricted country, you can buy property. Example, Michael, who is an American working in Bengaluru, he can buy an apartment because he is not from the 11 restricted country list. But what about foreigner living abroad? Yes, residing outside India, then the rule is different. Have a look. So they can only lease. Right here the point is they can only lease. You can see the word here. They can only lease. Maximum up to 5 years. They can only lease maximum up to 5 years. Or they can inherit. They can inherit. From whom? From Indian. For example, take the case of Yuki. Okay. So Yuki, she is Japanese living in Tokyo. She can inherit her Indian mother house but can't buy new property. Now, there are some special rule for minority community. So who are minority community? Hindu, Sikh, Christian, from Pakistan, Bangladesh, Afghanistan. These are, minority community. So they can buy one home to live in for self-occupation and one property for business. They can buy that. Example, Abdul. Abdul is a Pakistani Hindu. They can buy a Delhi home and a small shop. What about a spouse of NRI and OCI? Yes. So they can buy jointly. One home or one commercial property with NRI or OCI spouse they can buy. So suppose a foreign nation is there who is married to an NRI and OCI. So they can jointly purchase one residential or commercial property with their spouse. What is not allowed? Agricultural land, farmhouse or plantation property is not allowed. In every case, this thing is not allowed. And this is very important. So let me give you some real life scenario to make these two concepts more clear. So take the case of, Lee. Lee is a Chinese citizen. Lee is a Chinese citizen, right? She can only lease property, or he, whatever it is, he can only lease property. Okay, that maximum 5 years. First point. Then take the case of Fatima. So Fatima is an Afghan Christian. Afghan Christian. I told you she belongs to minority community, so she can buy one home in Pune. Okay, and take the case of Sophie. Sophie. So Sophie is a French citizen, and this Sophie is married to Arjun. Arjun is an OCI. So combinedly, jointly, they can buy Goa Villa. I hope these three situations is much more clear. So let's recapitulate what we have just discussed in this particular slide. I told you about foreigner in India. Suppose there is a foreigner in India, they can buy except restricted nationality. Okay. Then I told you about foreigner abroad. So if the foreigner is abroad, they can only lease or inherit. They cannot buy. RBI approval is needed. They can only lease and inherit. RBI approval is required. Then we talk about minority from neighborhood. So in the case of minority, they can buy one home plus one property. They can one business property. They can buy. Okay. Then we talked about NRI and OCI spouse. NRI and OCI spouse, I told you, they can co-own residential and commercial property. So they can co-own property. And then no farmland for foreigner. These are the point. So now have a look at the next point. That is a guideline for repatriation of sale proceed. Very, very important aspect. So just suppose you just sold your Indian property and want to send the money abroad. Whether you are NRI, foreigner or inherited property, there are rules for taking that money out of India. Let's make sense of them with simple example. First of all, who can send money abroad? The first pertinent question is who? Yes, the first question is who can send money abroad? Tell me, who can send money abroad? So NRI can send money abroad. PIO can send money abroad, right? Up to how much? $1 million per year, right? So this is the general repatriation rule I told you. Up to the limit is $1 million per financial year. This NRI and PIO, they can repatriate maximum. Condition is that there are some condition which has to be fulfilled. The property was inherited legally. This is the first condition. The property was inherited, but how legally, right? And you retired from India. The individual has retired after working in India. This is the second condition. Or you are a widow or a widower who inherited from Indian spouse. So let us take an example to make it more clear. Raj. Raj is an NRI. Take the case of Raj, who is an NRI. He sell his inherited Delhi flat. So he has a flat in Delhi. He sell his inherited Delhi flat. So he can send $800,000 abroad this year. Right? So I've just given you example of Raj, who is an NRI. He sell his inherited Delhi flat. So he can send $800,000 abroad this year. So I told you, now there are some conditions. Okay. So who can send money abroad? NRI, PIO, they can send up to $1 million per financial year. And condition is that property was inherited legally. You retired from India. You are a widow or widower who inherited from an Indian spouse. Right. So Raj is an NRI. He sell his inherited Delhi flat and can send maximum is $1 million. So he is just selling $800,000. Okay, I think it is $8 million to be more precise. $8 lakh. That's it. 1 million, $10 lakh. That's it. Under this limit, they can send. So repatriation means sending money abroad. Now, repatriation guideline for NRI and PIO. So just let's discuss. So property purchase rule matter. So must have bought property. Okay. So condition is that they must have bought property using foreign money transfer of NRE and FCNR account. The purchase should be done through the foreign exchange remitted via banking channel from NRE and FCNRB account. And they should follow the FEMA rule. For example, Priya. Take the case of Priya. And this Priya is an OCI. Okay. So she bought a flat via NRE account. She bought a flat via NRE account. So she can repatriate sale money. This is the condition that once you have acquired the property or once you have purchased the property must be purchased using NRE and FCNR account deposit. If it is so, then yes, after selling the amount, you can repatriate completely. Okay. That is the condition. So NRI, PIO and foreign citizen, they can repatriate up to this much financial year under a specific condition. Okay. And these are the limits. Now friends, what you can't repatriate, very, very important. What you can't repatriate, I told you, agriculture land, no repatriation. Farmhouse, no repatriation. More than 2 residential property sale, no repatriation. This is also very important. Repatriation is limited to the sale proceed of maximum of 2. That means you can't repatriate the amount that you receive from selling 3 property. No, maximum 2 residential property. Let's take the example of Sam. Sam is a PIO, person of India origin. Okay, he sells 3 Mumbai flat. He has 3 Mumbai flat and he sold them. Right. So he can only repatriate 2 sales, not 3 sales. There are some special cases here. So a special case given in the book, like Nepal and Bhutan citizen. Let's look at it. So a special case is about Nepal and Bhutan citizen. So different rule apply and other need RBI approval. So let us give you some real life example to make the situation more clear. Take the case of retired NRI. So take the case of Rahul. Rahul is a retired NRI who worked in India for 20 years and now moved to Canada. After working in 20 years in India, he moved to Canada. So he sold his Bangalore office. He has purchased the Bangalore office, he sold it. So maximum he can repatriate up to $1 million per financial year from the sale. Now take the case of inherited property. Meena. So Meena, she is a US citizen. She inherited her mom Mumbai flat. Her mom Mumbai flat she inherited. Okay. And she sell it for $5 lakh. So you can send full amount abroad because it is under $1 million limit. So what we learned from the discussion, let me recap here. Let me recapitulate. What is the learning from the discussion is that there is 1 million limit, first point, per financial year. 1 million limit per financial year, first point for NRI and PIO. Then we talked about legal purchase is required. Legal purchase is required via banking channel. So via banking channel legal purchase is required. Maximum 2 houses. which means can repatriate sale money from two residential property, not more than that. Then I told you no farmland money. Farmland money cannot be included. RBI approval is needed. In some case, for a special case that is above the limit, RBI approval is needed. Some special case. So golden rule is that always keep all purchase document ready. Bank will ask for it. Now have a look at the legal definition and provision. Have a look at it. So friends, let's end the first part of the lecture here, and the second part will be available to the paid member who have enrolled in our course. If you want to get such kind of video, you can WhatsApp me on this particular number. Now before ending the session, this is 8292857381. Before ending the session, let's revise what we have covered so far. Revision is very important from examination point of view. So we started with acquiring asset. Everything about asset we are talking about. So we talked about there are different methods of acquiring the asset. The first technique I told you, ILRS, limit is $250K per year. Then we talk about joint with Indian resident relative. Yes, resident relative joint is very much necessary, or you can obtain by gift or inheritance, or by the proceed of the RFC account. Okay, these are the techniques. Now then we talk about what you can buy. You can buy home, you can buy shop. Basically in the context of NRI we are talking about NRI, OCI, right? They can buy home or shop, but farmland they cannot buy. And gift from relative only they can buy. And if you talk in the context of selling, so they can sell farmland but only to Indian citizen, not to the other citizen. And they can make payment of these sell and buy through NRE, NRO, FC, NRA account proceed. Okay, these are the points which I have just covered. Then the next slide we discussed that paying through bank channel I told you. Okay, suppose there is a diplomat. So he can buy property but not farm, but they need government approval, especially of MEA. MEA is the Ministry of External Affairs. He will need the Ministry of External Affairs a nod, right, before purchasing. And I told you about some restrictions are there that they need RBI approval, right, for foreigner. Okay, so they are restricted country. I told you the name of 11 restricted country. So those restricted country person, if they want to purchase or if they want to purchase any property in India, so they need RBI approval. So diplomat need MEA, Ministry of External Affairs approval, and these restricted country people they need RBI approval. Other foreigner as such no restriction. And so we will talk about other foreigner now. So we discuss the foreigner who is based in India, they can buy, they can rent the property. But suppose the foreigner who is not in India, rather he is in abroad, they can only lease it, that to maximum for 5 years, and they can inherit as per the RBI rule. Now if there is a minority community, suppose the person is minority from the nearby country like Afghanistan, Pakistan, etc., so they can buy one home or they can buy one property. But if you talk about NRI and OCI, so they can co-own property, means on mutual basis.